these thoughts up in my head. Things I never did. I took some L's, but I'm still here.
I got these thoughts up in my head. I toss and turn about some things I never said. I got regrets about some things I never did. I took some risks and took some L's, but I'm still here. And I know.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Overthinking Thoughts Pod. I'm your host, Ed, and as always, journey with me as we pursue greatness in a world full of chaos. Here we are back again with another episode. This is episode 71. We are moving and grooving through these episodes. I try to be consistent, give them to you every week with the hope that you get something from them. So we'll just keep doing what we're doing. Shout out to everybody that has returned. Appreciate y'all supporting the podcast, coming back each week and just, helping get my message out there, liking and subscribing and commenting. Like, I appreciate that. If you are new here, what I want you to know is that we strive to pursue greatness in a world full of chaos. We understand that there's a lot that's going on in the world, a lot of craziness that's happening, but at the end of the day, we got to do our best to survive. And not only that, not survive, but thrive through everything that we're doing. So my podcast is for overthinkers, worry warriors, anxious folks, self-doubters, lack of confidence. I'm hoping that something that I do encourages you to believe in yourself, go after the things that you want to chase after, and try to strive to be the best version of you that you can be. So with all that being said, you can find the podcast if you want to learn more about what I do. I'm on YouTube. If you go to Overthinking Thoughts Pod, you'll see the dope logo from the intro designed by my brother IV the Great. Go to YouTube, look up Overthinking Thoughts Pod, go ahead and subscribe to that. You'll see all of my previous episodes, talk about a lot of different things. So feel free to go to the platform and catch up on things, see the visuals, see some of the cool urban royalty gear that comes out. Heavy is the crown is what this one says. I like this one. I might have to holler at my boy to give me some more. But YouTube is where I'm at. I'm also over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. So you can check us out there, Overthinking Thoughts Pod. And then for the socials, you can catch me on Instagram at Overthinking Thoughts Pod. And you can also catch me over on TikTok, same platform, Overthinking Thoughts Pod. Trying to get the boost up. Shout out to the 400 folks over on TikTok that have come through and liked what we're doing. Thank you so much for that. It is very great. I'm very grateful for it. Instagram, I think, is roughly around 200 something. So, it ain't a lot to a lot of people, but to me, it's more than what I thought I would have. So small victories, small wins. All right. Cool. Now that we got the housekeeping stuff out of the way, let's focus in on the subject. So the past couple weeks have been interesting. I feel like I've been challenged in ways that I I guess I wasn't expecting to see, but I'm starting to learn a little bit more about myself, and I realize that there's some adjustments and changes I need to make on my behalf. One of the things that I did that I shouldn't have did this week or last week and part of this week, I've been extremely tired. There's been a lot going on just with work and in life and trying to figure things out for the fam and stuff like that. And it can weigh on you. And if you don't find a way to express those things or at least have an outlet for something, it can truly put you in a dark space. And it's not a place where you want to be. It's definitely not a spot where you want to find yourself, but there are times where it does fall into that category. And as things were going, there was this like weird point where one of my TikToks was doing pretty well. Like, I don't get a lot of views, but I'm in that what I discovered was a 200 prison. I didn't realize that was a thing, but apparently it's like you get X amount of views in like the 200s, and I have so many videos like that. I'm sure they want you to pay to promote, but I ain't got that bread like that, so I can when I can. But there was, I one of them was doing really well, And for whatever reason, I was just like, man, this got to be great. Like, I've been getting a lot of views, a lot of comments, a lot of all this stuff. It's wonderful. And so I was like, well, I'm gonna check the YouTube and then I'm gonna check the streams and everything's gonna be cool. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Single digits humbled me real quick. I was like expecting a lot more than what I got, and I was just like, ooh, okay. Then I made the ever so often mistake of then going to somebody else's page and seeing what they do with their podcast, and then I compared what I was doing to what they were doing, and then I started seeing the views that they were getting versus the views I was getting, the amount of followers they had, the amount of followers I had, the comments they were getting, the comments I was getting. And I went to a very, very unsettling place because I started comparing myself to everybody else that I was seeing, and that spiral. Then to make matters worse, as I was trying to record this episode, I tried to do it on a different day. My phone, which is what I use for my video, cut off on me twice, and I had all these storage problems. So I spent the rest of at night trying to figure out how to clear storage on my phone and moving pictures and deleting stuff. Meanwhile, I had two TikToks that I was like, well, I'm gonna post these and I'm gonna put these out there. And instead of my usual 200, one got like 60 and the other one got like 62 views. And I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe this isn't where I need to be right now. Like maybe this just isn't working the way that I said it was going to work. And I spiraled. And that happens like from an anxious standpoint, from a worrying standpoint, where you just start thinking about these things and you can easily get caught in the dark web of spiraling. Um I don't want you to spiral out when you start seeing things that don't go your way. You start to create this like tornado effect because as you're starting to spiral, you're pulling in negativity, you're pulling in self doubt, you're pulling in lack of awareness, you're pulling in worry, you're pulling in extreme anxious thoughts, and all that momentum that you built that you were working on to chase after a dream or chase after a goal is now being lost because you're allowing your mind basically to stray away from what it is that you said you were going to do. And it puts you in such a bad position to the point where everything around you looks spectacular and you're like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. And then you lose sight of everything that you said you were going to do. And to be honest with you, that happened to me. And I just was like, wait a minute, I need to figure this thing out because it really put me in a bad spot. On top of all that, I'm also still learning how to be a father. Like I have my moments where I think I'm doing well and then I'm trying to discipline and I'm trying to instill lessons and I get to the point where I'm trying to be an authority figure that is pouring in all this information but yet lack the time, wisdom and understanding to just listen. And that caught up with me this week too, and it was impacting everything that I was looking at and what I was doing, and like it really put me in a dark place to the point where I started looking at different things in my life, and I just realized like a lot of stuff I just wasn't happy with. Like I was just not happy. Um, and I think you need to know that you don't always have to be happy in life, but you definitely have to keep moving forward. Like not every day are you gonna smile. I would hope that you do, but I understand that some days you're just trying to make it from point A to point B and you're just trying to grind it out and you're just trying to put yourself in a position to do well. I totally get it. But obviously the goal is to keep going. And I think as time goes on, one of the worst things that happens is you start getting into this mode of comparison and self doubt and all these anxious thoughts. And then all of a sudden, it seems like no matter where you go and what you do, regardless of if you try to shed sunshine, you can't because the only thing that you are carrying with you is this dark cloud. A lot of that is built up emotion, built up anger, built up self-esteem issues, could be trauma related. Like, I mean, there's so many things that could happen that cause dark clouds in your life. Um, and it definitely hurts. Like vulnerable moment talking to you right now, like there's an emotion that I feel of just like I'm tired. Like I spoke to my mom about this and I was just kind of pouring out everything I was going through. And, I told my mom, like, I'm in a dark moment right now. I am trying to do so much, and where I envisioned where I would be at this point in my life right now, I'm not there. I mean, I've made progress, but I'm not where I want to be. On top of all that, there's other things that I can't really control, and I have to wait for other circumstances to take place before I can move forward on certain things. And I'm starting to lose patience. I'm watching other people around me get certain things, which is great, and I'm losing patience in that too. And I'm just like, Lord, I know it is a journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. There's so much that I have to learn in order to be a good father, a good leader, a good role model, a good person who is just trying to do his best, spread positivity, give encouragement, and spread the word of God. But I'm tired too, and I know on the journey there's these moments, there's these stretches where it seems like you're just walking and walking and walking and walking, and there's no end in sight, or there's no like promise of where to go. But I think also if we knew every destination that we were getting to on our journey, it wouldn't even be a fun journey. We would already be there and we wouldn't be prepared for what we want to do. And we wouldn't learn who we really are. So, although I'm frustrated with the process, I'm also doing my best to embrace the process. So that way, when I do reach my breaking point, or my breaking point, but my breakthrough, when I reach that, I can then say that I did it the right way and I didn't, rush anything or do anything to kind of like sabotage what God had for me. But the journey is tough, man. Like, when it's when you're in a dark moment, it's hard to see where you're headed on your journey. It's hard for you to figure out exactly where you're going and what you're doing. It's hard to also know that you do have light that is inside of you that you possess. But if you're so focused on those dark moments, you won't find the switch to cut the light on in order to then illuminate where you're supposed to go. And there's other people that, like I said, I say this all the time, there's other people that are counting for you or counting on you as well to show them where they need to go. But we can't focus on the dark spots that we never take the time to see the light. We never see where we're supposed to go or the path that we're supposed to walk. And so many of us get lost on that because where we see light and where there's opportunity, because we have this dark cloud looming over our head, we turn to that more than we turn to where we need to go. And a lot of times it could be out of fear, it could be anxious, whatever the case may be. But it's been a rough couple of weeks, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Um, but there's something in me that just keeps saying, just keep going, keep going, keep going. Because I don't want to give up and then realize I was so close to that moment where all the things I said I wanted to do start to happen. I don't know when that's gonna happen. I don't know when God says, "All right, here it is. Here's my timing." Like, but I have to trust God's timing. I have to trust His plan. I have to trust that everything that I'm praying for and I'm asking for, He's delivering, and also trust that He's moving. And well, more importantly, He's already moved. I just have to be obedient. And obedience is a very hard thing, which is why you have so many people who don't believe because they're like, how can you do this and do that? I've lived this life long enough to know that without God, I'm nothing. With God, I have everything I need and then some. I'm not trying to preach to you or anything like that, but what I am saying is too much in this world and too much in this life has happened for me to know that God does exist rather than believing that he's not real. You can't convince me otherwise. So it is what it is. But in the same breath, I think that, and I feel like I'm rambling, but I'm just trying to get to y'all where I'm at right now. I promise I'm gonna turn this thing around, but I need you to know where I'm at in order to understand where I'm going. I realize that I'm in a spot now where the only thing that I can do is trust in God. The only thing I can do is ask him for help. The only thing I can do is ask for wisdom. The only thing I can do is ask for guidance. The only thing I can do is pray and to remember what he says in his word. That's the only thing I can do right now. I've tried my efforts. I've pushed myself to the limit. I've been frustrated. I've let emotions control me to the point where I went to a dark space where I felt like just giving up on the podcast and giving up on just trying to move forward with this and just saying like maybe this ain't it. But I also know that when I got to that point, clearly I've exhausted my options and my efforts. And it's this bigger than me. So I gotta trust God and I gotta give it to him. And then when I give it to him, I gotta let it go. Because when I've done that in life, I realize that I've made it farther when I've trusted him than when I just tried to do it on my own. And if that has happened over and over in life, then this moment that I'm in right now is just going to be another testimony for the amazing breakthrough that God's going to give me. And I'm going to preach that, and I'm going to believe that, and I'm going to receive that, and I'm going to challenge myself to believe that, and I'm going to challenge you to do it as well because the breakthrough is coming. And if you're in this dark moment, and if you're struggling right now, if you're not happy with where things are, doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Because just like when it rains, and when the rain's done, a lot of times that sun comes out, dries up everything, makes it better, makes it beautiful. You can't appreciate the sun if you don't know how to dance through the rain, right? I've been learning lessons, man. Just turned 40, and there's just a lot of things that I thought I knew that I still don't know. But I think the biggest thing that I want to tell you in these dark moments, and it's gonna sound weird, but in your moments of where you struggle, give yourself some grace too. Realize that a lot of things that you're trying to do cannot be learned by example because maybe you didn't have an example to learn from. And a lot of what you're trying to do is new to you. It's new territory, new opportunity, new beginnings. And then maybe there's not a blueprint that was left behind for you to see what you need to do or how you need to build. And you're struggling trying to figure it out and you're learning as you go. Or, in other words, you're flying the plane as you're building it. But give yourself grace and understanding that you're not perfect, but you're doing your best to be the best that you can. You might not have it all figured out, but trusting the journey that along the way, the missing pieces you need will come to you. And also just remembering that you ain't perfect either. So stop trying to be. You not wearing no cape. You ain't no superhero. You are here chasing after things that you feel that are the desires of your heart that you've given to God and you've said, this is what I'm trying to do. I pray, Lord, that this is where I'm supposed to go. So give yourself some grace in the process and maybe not be so hard on yourself to the point where the only thing you focus on is the dark moments. When in reality, giving yourself grace provides a lot of light to the point where you can then build on what you may have failed on and learn from what has been given to you throughout the journey. Trust in it though, because that's the key. That grace thing, though, that grace thing is tough. That grace thing can be very difficult when you're looking at yourself or if you're looking at other people who maybe didn't know what you were dealing with or maybe just had no type of love in their heart when they were dealing with you to the point where you just feel like you can't forgive them and you can't move on or you can't, I don't know, function right. But man, grace is something that's so amazing because it's something that God gives us that we don't have to work for. It's not something that we earned. It's not something that we got to apply for. God just gives it to us. And in moments where it seems like man, I can't believe that this happened, but this actually happened, and I was here, but somehow, even through the midst of my mistakes, I made it here. Like, that's God's grace. It's a beautiful thing, and if God gives it to us freely, the challenge for us then to is to give it to other people freely, even when you are fed up. But I've also learned that giving grace to people in those moments strengthens you and blesses them, even if you don't see the instant results. And sometimes it's not meant for you to see it. It was just meant for you to be obedient in that time. So yeah, I get it. It's a very tough moment, but these dark days ain't gonna last. These hard times ain't gonna last. These moments of struggle and uncertainty, it's not gonna last. If you keep going forward, if you keep doing what you're supposed to do, answers will start to be revealed. Doors will start to open. Opportunities will start to come your way. Blessings will start to fall. Your obedience will lead to opportunity. Your obedience will lead to God working in your life in ways that you didn't think were possible. Your obedience and your trusting in God and not leaning on your own understanding is going to allow you to then receive these blessings that as you're standing there watching it all happen, it's going to seem like it's too good to be true. And you'll understand that it was nothing but God's love and grace that gave it to you. And I can't I mean, like, that's just I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just trusting in it. I understand that we all go through processes, we go through growing pains, we go through what I call learning opportunities. And sometimes we got to go through a couple of learning opportunities where you find yourself in the same situation and be like, why did I not take the time to learn from this the first time? But thank God for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, etc., etc., etc. chances, so that way you can get it right. That is something that I'm really trying to work on right now. Looking at, you know, I, what's so crazy is that, and this just kind of just came to me, is that I'm looking so much at how many people were listening or how many people were liking and how many people were viewing and commenting, but I wasn't looking at the progress that I was making for myself. I told myself years ago that I was going to do this, and then it took me 2 years to even form it. And then when I did a couple of them, I still was unsure. But to look at where I was when had to buy certain things to even get started, and to see where I'm at now, man, it's actually really cool. It's to think that, like, I've sat there and been like, oh yeah, I got 71 episodes. Like, yeah, yeah, I can I can work with that. And I hope that I could get that to you as well. Um, you know, that's my goal. And for those of you that are still striving, like, I'm gonna tell you right now, as I'm giving you this podcast at in this very moment right now, I can feel all the anxiety in my body. When I move a certain way, my body reacts to it. When I'm thinking about my thoughts and what I'm gonna say to you, my body is reacting to it. And as I'm telling you this and I'm saying I gotta trust, I'm living it right now as we speak, that I have to not be anxious about anything, but in everything with prayer and petition and thanksgiving and present my request to the Lord. I have to do that. And I'm telling you to do the same thing. You don't need to live with anxiety, and anxiety does not define you. You don't need to live in worry, because worry does not define you. These are things that we are trying to control. And I realize that sometimes you got to relinquish that control in order to really get to where you're supposed to be. And as hard as it is to let go, I can only imagine what would happen if you hold on and reach a point and realize it was meant for you to let go a long time ago. And I just don't want you to fall into that. I truly do believe that if you stay strong on this journey during these dark times, that the sun will come out, that the light will shine, and that you will realize that everything that you had to go through and everything that was challenging you and everything that was making you feel like less than and you was comparing yourself to all these other people, all that stuff will be worth it in the end because you will be in a position that God has blessed you in. You will be doing the things that you said you wanted to do and then some because you know he's going to give you more than what you asked for, And I think that that's a beautiful thing. I don't want you to lose hope or lose sight of what's out there. A lot of us created goals in the beginning of the year. A lot of us said that this is what we were going to do. And some of us have given up on those goals. I'm going to tell you, if you're one of those people, it is still early. It's March. If you say, "Oh well, it's too late now," no, it's not. Pick your piece of paper back up. Look at the goals you set, and then start forward. I will share with you. I told myself I was gonna read a lot of books. I ain't really been reading. I try to get in the scripture though. Like I do. I need to do that more too. But as far as just like books and stuff like that, man, look, I'll be seeing the books and so that's my challenge. I'm gonna have to work on that. But maybe you got a goal. Maybe it's something out there that you said you was gonna do. Maybe it's something out there that you said that I'm gonna make sure it happens. And you're starting to drift away from it. I'm telling you right now, this is your message. Do not lose sight of that goal. You look at it again, you put it in God's hands, and then you go for it. That's it. That's it. Goals can never be accomplished and dreams can never be accomplished if you stay asleep. You gotta wake up and live it out. So we're waiting on you to get up because you accomplishing your goal might help me. Me accomplishing my goal might help you. Us accomplishing the goals together is going to help everybody around us. So I'm doing it. You need to do it. Don't give up on it. Let's move forward. Can we do that? Because then when we remove that dark cloud and that sun comes out and it shines on everything that we said we were going to do, and it shines on everything that's meant for us, when it shines on you to be able to see all that you've endured and realize where you are, that moment when you're able to just breathe it in and see it, that will let you know that everything that you had to endure was absolutely worth it. Was absolutely worth it. So my task for you this week is simple. I want you to see where you are, and I want you to embrace those feelings. But then what I need you to do is not dwell in the darkness. I need you to come into the light. I need you to give yourself some grace. If there's areas in life where you need to forgive yourself, I need you to do that. If there's areas in life where you need to forgive others, I need you to do that. If there's things that you said you were going to do and then you put them to the side for whatever reason, I need you to pick that back up. If there's a journey that you were on and you decided to just pull to the side of the road because you're like, nah, I ain't doing it, ain't meant for me. Nah, I need you to get back on that road and keep going. I need you to know that you can do this. I need you to know that better days are ahead. I need you to know that these dark clouds and these dark nights are not going to last forever, that the sun will come out. And like the song says, there may be pain in the night, but joy comes in the morning. And I truly believe that joy will come to you. And I just thought about this too. But when I gave a retreat, I was on a retreat and I talked about joy. And I want you to know that joy is coming to you. And joy simply defined as Jesus overflowing in you. Believe it and receive it. Take that with you. If you don't take anything else from this podcast, take that piece. Please and thank you. And of course, as always, even in the midst of all this darkness and all the things you may be facing, one thing you need to remember, if you don't hear from anybody else, you're going to hear from me. I believe in you. I go believe in yourself, all right? It's the Overthinking Thoughts Pod. I'm Ed. We out.
These thoughts up in my head. Things I never did. I took some L's, but I'm still here.
I got these thoughts up in my head. I toss and turn about some things I never said. I got regrets about some things I never did. I took some risks and took some L's, but I'm still here. And I know.